All right, tweet number 1 comes from Rit Holtzman at Ben Ritz Holtz NBA. Just for the record, because I need to get this off right now. This is one of the smartest Knicks Twitter minds on the app. Someone I respect greatly. Someone who I've interacted with. He doesn't know who I am, but I've interacted with him. Someone who I really, really respect on Knicks Twitter. But he said this after the Celtics game. I'm not saying we solved them or anything crazy, but late game annoyances aside, I don't know how you don't wake up tomorrow feeling like a zillion times better than you did today about that potential series. And that's by far the most important thing that could have come out of this game. Kwab, I'm not going to defer to you on this one. I'm going to just go.
Shocker.
Just going to go.
Shocker.
This is insane. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? This is a season in which the Knicks had championship aspirations. This is a season in which the Knicks went all in to beat the Boston Celtics. They specifically designed their team to beat the Boston Celtics. And guess how many times they beat the Celtics this year, Kwab? Just guess.
Not one.
No.
Not two.
No.
Not three.
No.
Not four.
No.
No. Just none.
Zero. They haven't beat the Celtics all year. And in a game at home, when they are resting Jalen Brown in the second half, when they had Porzingis on a minutes restriction, and they started Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett in overtime, you still lose, despite the fact every single starter that you played, including Jalen Brunson, who just came back from injury tips, over 35 minutes, you still catch an L, and you are optimistic? You were optimistic about this team. There's nothing but good signs going. Are you out of your? This is like a prevailing thought around Knicks Twitter. Like, what is going on? What happened to the city that I knew, to the fan base that was so irrational yet rational at the same time? This is insane. If the Knicks played the Celtics in second round, if they get past the Pistons or Bucks, it's not going. It might not go 5. What are we talking about? Encouraged that we could, maybe beat them one time in a 7-game series? That's what you're encouraged by? This is crazy. This is insane. Like, absolutely insane. I cannot, and I don't know him, so I'm not going to, add on hominem here because he's a very smart guy. I watched Knicks Film School, which he's a part of. He's, pound for pound, probably one of the smartest, if not the smartest Knicks analyst that I've watched, and I mean that. That's why I'm so shocked that he said this. Like, just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I cannot believe that is the thought process after the Knicks lost again to the Celtics. Haven't beat them once this year.
Okay,
and you're encouraged? That's insane. That's
okay.
wild.
Okay, so I think part of your frustration, or a main part of your frustration, is because you were very, I'll say, hot after them losing the game yesterday. Like, you're still frustrated about that, which, fair enough. Like you said, this team went all in this year for a championship, and like you said, to beat the Celtics, and they haven't been able to get over that hump. By that tweet, I feel like they were kind of inferring to the fact that this was a very winnable game. Like, it came down to if they would have fouled or stopped Jayson Tatum hitting that 3-pointer, and I took you guys to overtime. It should have been a Knicks victory. If it was trending that way until that happened. So I can kind of not justify history, but I can kind of understand what he was trying to say, because this was probably the closest you guys have played the Celtics.
We didn't win.
But you didn't win. But this is kind of like the closest you played the Celtics in every.
But we didn't win. And Jalen Brown sat the whole second half. Like, what are we doing?
He did it, but I'm saying you take. Not saying it's a moral victory, but even in losses, you try to take something from every loss.
Okay.
You play ball for years where a team constantly beats you, but anytime they beat you, you're like, okay, I'm picking up some stuff where that could help me next time. That's probably and this is just me freestyling. Like, maybe that's what he looked at it as. So that might be the case. In terms of this tweet, if I saw this tweet, I would look at it and I would ignore it, because I'd be like, whatever. Like, I don't. When it comes to,
because I didn't even tell you what I would do with this tweet, because I got so pissed off the gate. I'd probably quote tweet it and be like, "This is absolutely delusional," something like that.
You do say that, but I would just be like, whatever. It's not because I'm that's because I'm not a Knicks fan or whatever it is. Like, as passionate as you are about the team, it's just the Knicks are they are what they are. The Celtics are just
they are what they are, but that's not what they were supposed to be going into the season, right? Like, this is no disrespect to the Detroit Pistons, but we're not the Detroit Pistons. We're not having a great year for what we could have been.
Hey.
And anything that we do against the Celtics is going to be looked at as a plus. That's not. That's not what this team is this year. This team was supposed to get to the Eastern Conference Finals or better. This team was supposed to put up a fight against the Celtics, take at least 7, probably maybe beat them. Like, that's how this team was built. That's what this was for. And the fact that we're out here like, well, like, this is a great sign after they didn't beat the Celtics one time all season. And not just the Celtics, the Cavs, the Thunder, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Clippers. Like, have you seen?
I get that.
There's I don't even know if this is true, but I can't think of a more fugazi 50-win team in the history of the league. I can't. Like that. Like, how do you have 50 wins and not beat anybody of significance? Nobody. The Rockets one time.
I'm saying I get that. Everybody, like you said, this was not the plan, but everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And you guys have been constantly been punched in the face by these upper teams. It is what it is. You're just not as good as the Celtics, not as good as the Cavs, not as good as the Thunder. Everybody had high hopes of what this team could be, and it just hasn't come to fruition. There's been problems all season, and that we've talked about after every recap or every shows we've done talking about the Knicks. When it comes to their defense, their defensive play, their inconsistent play on offense, their lack of bench minutes, health. There's been problems all season. Now, I've said this before when we did power rankings. You don't know going into the playoffs, anything can happen. That's always the case. Nobody expected the Pacers to get as far as they did. Whatever, it happens. You don't know what's going to the playoffs, but for what it is, this is the team, and I think. Part of that, you get frustrated. Yes, you should be frustrated, but you can't be getting so frustrated. This is what it is. This is what the team is.
No, I get that's what it is. I just cannot believe that's the take and the general vibe of Knicks Twitter.
Because
not everybody.
Not everybody, but people are trying to have an optimistic mindset when it comes to it because they don't. It's not for them. It's not was it hell or high water? You know what I mean?
I am somebody who is an optimist, but also a realist. Like last year, the Knicks, my vibe was completely different. I loved last year's team, and if you would ask me, could they beat the Celtics, I would have said probably not, but I think they could take them 6, maybe 7, and surprise them if fully healthy. Like if Julius was healthy, if OG was healthy. You know what I mean? I don't think they were better than the Celtics, but I like that team so much, and I was so optimistic with how they played because they can punch the Celtics in the face. They can throw haymakers. This team can't. We've watched it all year. They haven't won a game. They haven't won a game. Not a game against any.
They're just not as good as you want.
I know,
them to
and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But this whole idea of what they were supposed to be, they haven't even reached. And this idea that we should be optimistic against a series against the Celtics is just, I don't know.
I don't know, but don't you think it's just people having people that are having that mindset are having a change mindset in terms of not having, like you said, they're not having the championship or bust mindset. Now they're having the we might do well against this team mindset.
Yeah, and to defend Rit here because I might be putting some words in his mouth. I don't mean to put words in his mouth when I'm saying optimistic. He's just saying you should be feeling better.
Better, yeah.
So for him, for Rit, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't want it to make it seem like he's optimistic that they're going to beat the Celtics in a series. Rit probably actually will. I know he will pick the Celtics in a series against the Knicks. I just don't know where the room for feeling better is. You know what I mean?
And to boot, like you said this before, but I want to.
I keep calling him Ritz, like the crackers. I'm sorry, Rit.
Yeah, I want to repeat this. You're not. Yeah. What you're saying is not a direct response to his tweet. It's just the overall sentiment and feeling of when you Knicks fans and the whole team, how people are oh, you're optimistic now, but because when you watch that game, you're just fuck again, we lost again, we're losing again, we can't beat these top teams again. So it's when you read that tweet, it's you're not optimistic about it. So it's not, just to reiterate, it's not you going at that tweet or at that person. Like you said, he's one of the best Knicks fans and voices on the app. So just to put that back out there, but it's just that's how you feel. It is what it is.